Oh.
You don't want me to sing any more Seal?
I don't know. I was enjoying it.
Baby!
That is a big tune. I do like that. Sometimes I'll, for a moment of divine clarity, I'll just sit there, put Seal. I don't actually know the name of the song.
Kissed by a Rose.
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm a fan.
Just check these levels. Very quiet.
Is this the point where I stop eating M&Ms?
No, keep eating them.
I don't want to... I don't know, because I've listened to podcasts before where...
When people are eating?
Yeah, and it's the most off-putting thing I've ever come across.
Okay. They are quite good. How many's left?
There's a smattering, I think I'd call it.
No, that's really... I was going to ask you, the different colours aren't different flavours, are they? But
I mean, you've been eating them as well, Andrew. You tell me. Or are they all just chocolate? Oh, God.
very good. Chocolate. What's new?
Not much. It's been a relatively full-on week for some reason.
Really?
Yeah. I was kind of... I think I posted a bit about our podcast on my Instagram last week, and a couple of people from work caught wind of it. So I've kind of shout to... I'll give one of them a shout out because he said really nice things about it. So this guy called Theo I work with was very encouraging.
Cool.
Said that he was learning a lot of new words.
Like what?
I can't think of a specific example, but he just said... But he also did say sometimes I'm just a little bit wordy for wordy's sake, which I think is a completely legitimate criticism.
I say keep it coming because also like Theo, I learn new words too.
Oh, that's nice. But yeah, no, really well received by a couple of people I work with. So thank you all for the kind words.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, glad that people enjoy what we're putting out.
Sweet.
It's nice
and
to
on
know.
that note, welcome back to another episode of Slate 6, episode 14. Got nothing to link with that number.
No.
Movie podcast. Fucking hell.
You'll one day we're gonna come in and there will just be a seamless intro from you. Just absolutely nail each point.
Hopefully with an intro song. It's still in the works.
We're hard at work in the studio. We're trying to get Dr. Dre in to come and help us.
We're all there with one headphone on, just like.
Yeah, I'm like, can you turn my headphones up?
Yeah.
I need it louder. Turn my headphones up.
One day we'll get headphones too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then we'll be balling. You want to take another run at the intro?
I can't remember where I left off. So we are Slate 6 movie podcast where we talk all things movie, major Hollywood happenings and more. My name's Andrew, and with me again in my direct up, down, left, right, side to side, knees, toes, heads, shoulders. Don't know where I'm going. Straight ahead of me is Arlo.
Good evening. How you doing, mate?
Good to see you. I think this might be one of our first weekend evening recordings, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, the ambience is on
nice.
Fleek, as the kids say these days.
Fleek?
Fleek, on Fleek.
Oh my god.
Never heard that before?
No. Is that the new on point?
Yeah, it's been around for a while. It's like, how are you? And you'd say, I'm Gucci.
No, they don't say that.
People say that as well. I don't say it because it would sound ridiculous coming out of my mouth. About as ridiculous as it did just then. But there you go.
So this week we're reviewing Rambo. We still got no Joe. He's back tomorrow night.
Yep, he's been in Korea with Jian. Hopefully they had a really good time because he'd worked like for regular listeners. He'd been working like tooth and nail on his dissertation for like the last 3 or 4 months.
He'd do like work on his dissertation, go to work in the night, repeat. Yeah, 5 days a week, sometimes 6.
Yeah, sometimes 6. Yeah, sometimes. Always 6 on this podcast. But he was definitely in need of a holiday. It was definitely well deserved. Yeah. So hopefully he comes back refreshed and full of movie knowledge and verve.
He's plugging us out there apparently.
Is he?
Yeah.
So we're actually, it was a mission that we sent him on to expand on our global presence.
It's all PR, baby.
Have we heard anything more from our fans over in Australia and New Zealand?
Nothing. No, actually, I haven't done many stat checks recently. But,
I was thinking we need to get like more of a. We could do like a more engaged audience section. I think that's.
Yeah, I think that'd be nice too. Yeah. Well, on that, if anyone has any questions or recommendations, email us on @SyncSlate6 on
SyncSlate6 at
gmail.com.
And then obviously we have Twitter @SyncSlate6.
Yeah, or DM on Instagram, I guess.
It's a dangerous game.
Do you get I get these. I get about at least once a day. I get someone has requested you. It'll be like MCHZ1957 whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just like.
And what are they asking?
Someone wants to send you a message, and I'm like, block, delete.
Yeah.
So maybe we can get those on our.
No, I think it goes back to. Like, I do want to be more active on Twitter and put the feelers out a bit more. It's just finding the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Time is money, Andrew.
Exactly. Yeah, true that. And that's what they say all through Hollywood, I believe too. But
if any of our new listeners out there do want to follow us on Twitter, please go ahead.
Yeah, please
As you said, at SyncSlate6. We're always open to suggestions. I'm really stumbling over my words today.
Yeah, I'm quite confused. I'll say this later again, but I feel like I'm in some kind of time warp today.
Yeah.
Due to I think Rambo is quite a large part of this.
It spun us out a bit.
Yeah, I'm quite disorientated. Speaking of Twitter, you guys were laughing at me a few weeks ago for calling it Downtown Abbey.
Yeah.
And not Downtown Abbey. In person and digitally, you were laughing at me. And then I was on Edgar Wright's Twitter, and he did the same and got abused by his Twitter fans. So we're in it together. I'm
slightly perplexed as to why Edgar Wright would come out and admit that he'd made that mistake, being in that he is a film director and that's meant to be his wheelhouse. Yeah, it's like Joe coming out and saying something about genetics and getting it blatantly wrong, and then tweeting about it. It's like, I didn't know what DNA stood for the other day. People being like, what an idiot.
Yeah. Did he do that?
No.
Damn, I thought we were outing him. So should we talk some movie news?
Yeah.
Have you got any things? I've got one and one bit.
One thing and one thing only.
Well, one of the things relates to one of these trailers we saw, so I might just leave that for the last one. Snappy links, like a crocodile.
Yeah, as long as we're not reverting to what Joe thought were snappy links about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where he was just obsessed with getting a nice transition into our next point that never came around. But
that's the audio. What's it on Star Wars? That weird wiping effect he does all the time.
Oh,
is that screen wipe? Is it? Just
it is a screen wipe.
Yeah.
It goes from sometimes it goes from the right, sometimes it goes from the left, sometimes it comes down from the top.
He was very much doing the audio version of that, just like next page.
I think the only way it gets cheesier than that is a star wipe. So my news centers around film coming up called Nobody, Universal film, which is a bit strange, and the reason it's strange is because Bob Odenkirk of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, which I always struggle to say as a
it's hard. It's all those
Better Call Saul.
So I think,
and it's because I'm well spoken. Try and get a toff to say better. But it's also because I drop my T's when I usually talk, but when I say better, I always pronounce it. I don't know.
It's kind of easier to say it in an American accent. Better Call Saul.
Yeah,
it's kind of got more of a rhythm to it than Better Call Saul
or Better Call Saul. Anyway, so Bob Odenkirk of both of those TV programs is seemingly making this foray into action, and of course this has served other actors in Hollywood quite well recently, and when I say recently I kind of mean the last 10 years. It's not like a phenomenon, it's not a recent phenomenon, is it? We've had it with the OG, Liam Neeson,
yes,
who did Taken, obviously, which shares similarities with what we're going to talk about later.
There is some So there is some hints of that in there, isn't there?
Yeah, just nuances. And you had, I suppose Keanu's always done action to an extent, but the whole kind of John Wick franchise put him over the top in terms of he's now inextricably linked to action as a genre, isn't he?
Yeah, there's almost becoming this like, I mean, I'll try and remember to talk about this later with Rambo, but there's almost like a sad old man action genre coming.
Yeah.
You know, it's like John Wick, it's the dog. Liam Neeson, I mean, it's his daughter.
Yeah, slightly close to home.
Yeah. There's just these kind of like old, I guess, aging stars. Like, you know, they're just sad, lonely men that have to go and kill a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Genre.
It's going to become tired very quickly. I think we're already at that point, aren't we?
I think so too. And I don't know why he needs to do it.
No. Do you know what I always wanted? And this is going off topic a little bit. But you know, have you seen Kill Bill before?
Yes.
So you know...
both volumes.
Yeah, 1 and 2. Lucy Liu's character in Volume 1, Oren Ishii.
Yes. What's her code name?
Cottonmouth?
Oh, yeah.
That would make a great standalone film in my mind. Because you could have like the whole Japanese like setting.
Yeah.
And like people love Japan. It's interesting and cool.
You're going there?
I'm going. With someone who's been doing a lot of TV acting recently, Lucy Liu, in like an interesting origin story. Because like even her like small origin story in the film is really good.
Yeah.
Her dad's like in the US military and her mum's I think originally Japanese, and she's she's half Western, half Japanese.
And then is she abused or brought into some kind of drug ring? I can't really remember.
Yeah, she
is it that?
She ends up killing like a load of like old Japanese businessmen who I think she worked as a prostitute for a while, and then she becomes an assassin after that. But it's like that would be and if you did it in Japanese as well, that would be really cool. Oh. Jesus. For people who obviously, for all listeners now, literally just smacked myself in the face with the mic. But yeah, you know, it's iterating on that, like Liam Neeson, like Keanu Reeves, John Wick character at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, could you do it with a female actor? Could you do it with an actress? And could you do anything interesting around it?
Actually, I would way rather watch that than, what we just got.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the back to Bob Odenkirk's role in Nobody, we don't have a huge number of details yet. It's going to be directed by Ilya Neishuller, who...
great name.
Yep, who directed Hardcore Henry. And the script's going to be delivered by Derek Kolstad, who wrote John Wick.
Oh.
So you've got crossover there. I'll give you a whole bag of M&Ms if you can guess what the name of Odenkirk's character in this film will be, Andrew.
Okay, well, I'm guessing it's not Sol.
It's not Sol.
Is it John?
No. Would have been good, though.
My theory was John Wick, John Rambo, John Liam Neeson. I don't know what his name is in it.
Yeah, does anyone know what his name is in Taken?
Dad.
So, moving swiftly on, his character's name is going to be Hutch Mansell.
What?
And there seems to be, from the description at least, parallels between Walter White's character in Breaking Bad to Bob Odenkirk's character in this film, in that he's an uninspiring man, a suburban dad, an overlooked husband, and nothing neighbour. Two thieves break into his home one night. Hutch's unknown, long, simmering rage is ignited and propels him on a brutal path that will uncover dark secrets he fought to leave behind. So, yeah. And again, there are these transformative films or kind of character arcs that people seem obsessed with at the moment as well. Like, how do you go from suburban dad to mass murderer kind of thing?
It is an interesting premise, but... I don't know. It's kind of been done. Also, just reading that out, and the look of him, it's kind of like Kevin Spacey in American Beauty.
Yeah,
very like nothing. They do look similar. No, he looks like Kevin Costner.
Actually, he does look like Kevin Costner.
I think he says that in Breaking Bad, that he once convinced someone he was. I think he goes, I once convinced someone that I was Kevin Costner. Do you know why? Because I believed it. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like suburban dad is actually a secret agent. What's that? Oh, there's a really good movie. Is it Long Kiss Goodnight? Where that woman assassin gets amnesia and she's just like a normal housewife in the suburbs, and then something happens and like it starts coming back, like all her assassin skills.
Oh, really?
Like, and she has to go and like find someone and kill them. Yeah.
Oh, I might give that a watch then.
Yeah, it's quite good. Yeah,
Sounds good.
I feel like it might be quite dated by now, but I'm pretty sure that's Long Kiss Goodnight.
Nice. I will definitely give that a look.
Yeah.
But apparently this is coming into cinemas next August. So a while off yet. For those of you who can't wait for Bob Odenkirk to star in an action movie, I apologise for getting you excited far too early.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it, but I will not shoot it down yet until I see a trailer.
I don't see it either, but yeah, well.
Good luck to him. All the best.
Yeah, all the best, Bob. Yours truly, Slate 6 podcast.
Cool. Would you like to hear my news?
I'm pins and needles.
Right, well,
over here.
Wes Anderson, next film has been announced. It is going to be called The French Dispatch, and it has his usual frequent collaborators, Bill Murray, or Chill Murray, as they like to say him.
Yep.
Owen Wilson, Tilda Swinton. Who else have we got in here? Benicio del Toro, Frances McDormand, Adrian Brody, Jeffrey Wright. I don't know how to say your name, so I'm sorry. Leigh Seydoux and Timothy Chalamet. Yeah.
Benicio del Toro has not worked with Wes Anderson before, has he? Not to my knowledge. But
I don't know, but I've not seen The Isle of Dogs.
No, I heard really discouraging things about it, even though the trailer to me looked great when it came out. And I heard a load of, and there was actually a pop-up museum for it in London somewhere when it came out.
Yeah,
which I meant to go to. Did you end up going? It was near
the South Bank Centre. I went there. I went to go, but it was above South Bank where the skate park is.
Yeah.
And under it, they were selling off loads of skate shoes really cheap, like factory second. So I went to that instead, and there's a few people I know. So I got stuck in there talking to some people, bought some shoes, and then it was closed. And it was like the last day of it. So.
Priorities.
Yeah, exactly. But I hear it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to go and check out that cinema, but I didn't hear incredible things about the film. I heard it wasn't one of up to his usual standards.
Okay.
And maybe too soon after Fantastic Mr. Fox. Do you think similar kind of?
Yeah, and also I feel like the one-off animation is kind of good for the repertoire. I don't know. I kind of need to see it, but yeah, it didn't feel like what I love about Wes Anderson is like the color, the costumes, all the little details, as well as the humor and the story. But when it's animated,
it's more difficult to get those themes across.
Yeah, but Fantastic Mr. Fox was really cool because it was stop motion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this was to a degree as well.
Was it?
Yeah.
I really liked, because he could do because it was underground, you can do all that like side view and those like things he does really well.
Yeah, I think, when you say Wes Anderson, people do associate kind of like bright colours.
Yeah, exactly.
Like landscape shots from a distance.
Yep.
Like quite quirky acting, and yeah, he's definitely got a very, very specific and distinct directorial style, doesn't he? But I think it's really difficult to keep doing films along a similar tact.
Yes.
To do two animated films so close together, that kind of, I don't think they shared themes, but they anyway. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I kind of understand that. Yeah, it's
like one director I've always been really impressed by is Danny Boyle, just because he's so diverse in the projects he takes on. So he goes from like 28 Days Later to Slumdog Millionaire to 127 Hours. Just like really, really impressive.
Yeah.
How seamlessly he directs each different genre. Because Slumdog is like so you wouldn't associate that with him really.
No, not at all.
And one obviously absolutely smashed it at the Oscars that year.
Oh yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yeah, did really well.
Yeah.
And then most recently he did Trainspotting 2, so we'll give him the pass for that one.
Have you watched that?
I haven't. My dad went to watch it and he put me off it entirely.
Oh, okay.
He was like, "Don't do it to yourself."
Yeah.
He's like, "The first one is so good, this ruins all of that."
This could be an interesting topic in itself, but I will mention it now. Sequels that ruin the original. Because I was actually listening to some podcast last night, and they were talking about The Matrix, obviously, Star Wars with the prequels.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's way more cases. I mean, Trainspotting.
One just sprung to my mind, and no, I can't. Oh, Prometheus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, and then it just sort of, it's like diluting something with your juice. When you just dilute it too much, you're like, oh, this doesn't taste very good anymore.
So you're saying that in this grand metaphor, the original is almost like a perfectly diluted squash with a seal on the top.
Yeah, exactly.
And then but it's the seal can be perforated at any given time by the presence of a sequel.
Yeah.
And when the sequel arrives, it just pours more and more water and dilutes the original perfectly tasting squash to the point where it's tasteless. And
yeah.
I like that.
If someone could draw that as a diagram, that would be incredible.
Or even a little animation. Yeah. No, that's probably we could make that a standalone podcast, couldn't we? Like a whole topic around that. Yeah.
So this Wes Anderson. Do you want to hear this is the premise synopsis?
Yeah. The Sync Slate synopsis?
Yeah, Sync Slate synopsis. The French Dispatch will be a love letter to journalists and be set in a fictional French city at an American newspaper outpost. The collection of stories published in the titular French Dispatch magazine will be brought to life through Wes Anderson's vision. Okay.
So we already went through the cast with that.
Yeah.
Interesting. What's your favourite film of his?
I was going to ask you that. I would probably say it's difficult. I would say it's between Bottle Rocket.
Yeah, that's his
first film. That's the first one, or the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah, I actually forgot about the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
That is very good. I think mine's Darjeeling.
Oh yeah,
Darjeeling Limited.
I feel like that's the most underrated.
Yeah,
that's the kind of one, because that was after Life Aquatic, wasn't it?
Oh god, I really like Life Aquatic as well.
That's got the best soundtrack, I think.
Yeah. There's that bit in Life Aquatic, where there's the scene where they're all moving around inside the boat.
Yes,
and you can just see every room. It shows you every single room and people moving in and out of them. That's such a nice shot. Yeah, I forgot about Life Aquatic. My sister and my parents always go on about Grand Budapest Hotel as the best film he's ever done.
See, when I watched that in the cinema, I was like, not so good. But I rewatched it recently. I'm like, actually, it's pretty funny. And I think that's the one he won the most awards for.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's his strongest.
Yeah, it's weird. He splits the opinion of his fans more than any other director. I guess that's a bit of a generalization, but some fans of his, like hardcore fans, are really like Moonrise Kingdom is his best film, and others are like Fantastic Mr. Fox is his like he really divides opinion on what his like top 3 films are as a director,
which is quite cool. It's also quite interesting for a very like indie hipster person to divide the cool kids even more.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Did you ever see, just segue, did you ever see Captain Fantastic?
No.
Which was Viggo Mortensen as the lead, taking his kids to their mother's funeral. So their mother was basically mentally ill, and she kills herself at the outset of the film.
Jeez.
And then it's about like the dad's basically raising them in the wild, and like they're all geniuses. His children are all like really, really intelligent because all they do is read, and they don't really have social skills. They don't understand the modern world. So it's then about like his him dealing with his wife's death and what he wants for the kids and what the kids want for themselves. So like the oldest wants to go to like Yale and Harvard, and they get in, but he's like, you can't go, you're not going, because he doesn't want them to he doesn't want them to like be part of the modern world.
Is it good? I mean, that sounds really good.
I cried at it.
Oh wow.
I watched it about 3 years ago now. Really good. I thought it was really good. Might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's directed by just had it there. Directed by Matt Ross. Released in 2016. I think it kind of got overlooked a little bit, but I loved it.
It sounds really good. It sounds Oscar worthy on your description alone.
I think Viggo Mortensen was nominated for an Oscar for it.
He should win one. He's a really good actor.
Yeah. So Matt Ross, who he was in American Psycho.
Really?
I'm confused. Yeah. He was he's Lewis Carruthers in American Psycho as an actor. And before Captain Fantastic.
Oh, Lewis is the one they all hate on, isn't it?
Yeah. And he was in Face Off as Agent Loomis.
Great. We spoke about Face Off last week.
We did. So he's been in a couple of. He was in The Aviator as well. Done a lot of television. So he's actor, but obviously made the move over to directing and had a few projects before this one. But I mean, I think Captain Fantastic was really interesting. And the reason it came to mind was because I thought the directorial style was really similar to Wes Anderson,
right?
In parts.
Okay.
Like especially like when they turn up for the mother's funeral at the end, they're all wearing like really bright floral suits and dresses.
Oh no way. Okay.
Yeah. And that part especially was like, I'm like, is this a Wes Anderson film? Oh. But then it was too miserable to be a Wes Anderson film. So I was like, no, it's definitely not.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds really good. I might check that out.
Yeah.
You got another bit of news, or shall I segue us into trailers with this bit of news?
Let's do some trailers.
So one trailer we got is Gemini Man.
Yep.
Which is Will Smith versus Will Smith. What was the tagline? Who will win or something? I think they should change that to who will Will Smith win? Which Will Smith will win?
Well, I thought that's what I thought they were originally trying to play on that, but apparently not.
So it's directed by Ang Lee, who I think did Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Who
obviously Life of Pi as well.
And he's usually known for like really good action sequences. So apparently,
did the original Incredible Hulk, I think, as well, which was terrible.
Yeah, he did. So I think the short of it is we saw in the trailer, it's an aging hitman against his young clone. Apparently it's technically amazing is what I think it's coming out soon because people are starting to watch it, reviewers being people. And that's what everyone's kind of saying about it. Like, it's very unique in its action, and apparently it's going to be the game changer. But bearing in mind, people said this about Avatar too.
Avatar did kind of change the game in terms of digital effects, I would say, CGI, but it was also a 10-year project. So if you're going to invest that much time, then it needs to deliver on the element that you're investing all the time in.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
so you're saying this is like a bit of a Matrix kind of event in the cinematic industry?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Well, apparently it's been in development since 97, and it's just been passed around, and it's never got off the ground. And now it is. And I don't know if that's like from a tech point of view or people dropping it or whatever, but...
So it's out on October 11th in the States, apparently. But what I was going to say is I really disagree with making de-aging technology like the premise of a film.
Yes.
I just think that's lazy.
Yeah, same.
And it sets a film up to fail more than it does to succeed.
Definitely. It's like the there was that trend, I think they did it a lot in the Nutty Professor 2, where Eddie Murphy plays like multiple characters, and they did it in Back to the Future 2, where Michael J. Fox plays like his daughter, his son, himself, his aged self.
I think it was Norbert or whatever it was called,
the
Eddie Murphy film.
Okay.
And then obviously he had Adam Sandler do it in Jack and Jill.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the modern version of that, I feel.
I'll tell you what that is.
God.
Because I think Norbert and Jack and Jill were both pretty horrendous films. That is what I would call cinematic narcissism. Where Eddie Murphy and Adam Sandler are like, do you know what? I'm great. People just always tell me how much they enjoy my movies and how great I am. So what I thought I'd do was, instead of hiring people to be actors opposite me or actresses opposite me, I'll just play all the roles. And then the best way to describe it is like you get one of those really fucking annoying one-man bands playing somewhere. You just got someone like kicking a drum, like fucking waving a cymbal, clapping at the same time. You just get this mess of an individual. It's not like the best bands of all time tend to have like 4 or 5 different elements, keyboard. Okay, bad example. Bass, guitar, drums, frontman.
Exactly.
Like Adam Sandler being the bassist, guitar player, the frontman, and the drummer just doesn't do anything for anyone. And it is just narcissism.
Yeah.
So fuck you, Adam Sandler. And Netflix need to stop paying this man before his ego completely rockets into the orbit of the Earth.
Do you think he knows he's bad at this point?
Absolutely, he does. Absolutely. He would have to be so deranged to not think the stuff that he comes out with is... And equally, some of the stuff he's done is still part of pop culture. Like The Waterboy.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I just hate Adam Sandler. Anyway. The Longest Yard. Like, some of his films are just like, they're so poor, but at the same time enjoyable for some reason.
Somehow lots of people ended up watching them and can quote them.
Yeah.
Oosh. Well, I wonder if Gemini's up to that standard.
Well, I'm hoping it'll be better than an Adam Sandler film. And if there's one person who can carry off narcissism or being a narcissist, it's Will Smith. Because everyone else thinks he's gorgeous too, as well as himself.
True. Why didn't they just get his son to Blaze the Clone?
Because they did a film called After Earth. I don't know if you've seen that.
I know, but...
And it's M. Night Shyamalan, I think. And it's horrendous.
Okay. And
I'm going to keep saying horrendous a lot in this podcast. There's a theme emerging. It's just really... Actually, what they did was, for the entirety of that movie, Will Smith stays injured on a spaceship while his son, like, explores... It's Earth, but explores this planet that's been, like, uninhabited for hundreds of years because it got out of control.
Yeah. Planet of the Apes syndrome.
Yeah. Well, I just don't... You don't go to see a film with Will Smith in it to watch him sit down and do nothing for an hour and a half and watch his son take the reins. And there's a reason that he's gone into music rather than sticking with acting, I think.
What's the twist? It was Earth all along?
No, they knew it was Earth from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
It's all about... It's one of those... like... You know, The Dark Knight back in the day? I think the kind of tagline for that was like, to conquer fear, you must become fear itself.
Right, yeah.
It's... so many films of that age played on that for some reason. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff about fear. Yeah. So there was a alien being that could sense fear, and that's how it couldn't see, but that's how it would kill you, because it would like sense the the increased adrenaline in your body and go after you that way. Ooh. So the film was about his son like trying to control his emotions and become this like. Oh. Do you want to know the best part of that film?
Go on.
Will Smith's character's name.
Please tell me.
Cypher Rage. Ridiculous.
It sounds like someone's forum name or something like that.
It's probably M. Night Shyamalan's forum name. He's just there playing Xbox. Playing Xbox with one hand and writing the script for After Earth with the other. Cypher Rage, that sounds good.
Get that down. Do you think Gemini Man looks good from that trailer?
When I saw the original trailer, I was a bit worried because it looked a bit sketchy in parts, especially the de-aging technology. It looked a bit ragged. Yeah. But that trailer looked a little bit better, a little bit smoother. So hopefully it'll be interesting. Yeah. I don't hold high hopes for it at all. Yeah. Same. I think I mean, what I could glean of the script and the premise from the start was, I just didn't really believe in it.
I feel like they showed us a lot as well.
Yeah,
in that trailer,
definitely.
It did jump around.
Overshared, maybe.
I don't know where they filmed it, but one of the locations looked very nice. I don't know if it was Mexico or there was like a Cuban Hispanic. You know, like where it was like the first half of the trailer is like really nice coloured buildings.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was trying to figure out where that was.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, you're right though. It did look nice. Idyllic.
Idyllic, yeah. Is it idyllic or idyllic?
It's idyllic. I think it's idyllic.
Okay.
I think it's the same thing as the same argument we had about biopic.
Okay.
Because biopic is two different words, whereas idyllic is just one.
Okay.
So you don't have to
split
pronounce the two syllables differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Good to know. Talking of, what are you talking about? CG and graphics. Yeah, you're saying that the trailers, wasn't so sloppy with the CGI this time round.
Yeah.
Midway, which was the trailer we got, that looked like very sloppy CGI, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know about that film. I was on YouTube earlier today and I got shown, or the trailer came up on an ad before this video I was going to watch, and I don't know who's the main actor in that. He looks incredibly familiar, and I've seen him in something else. I don't know.
What I can't understand is why does Hollywood insist on giving Woody Harrelson wigs all the time? Why can't they just make him bald? Like in this one, he's like a graying colonel or whatever in the Air Force. Are they called Navy, Air Force in the States?
Air Force, yeah.
It's basically Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I think Pearl Harbor's quite an old film now, isn't it? It's like 2003?
Yeah, and still terrible, I imagine.
I think it got reasonable reviews when it came out.
I mean, I've never seen it. I just heard it was the worst.
Maybe it wasn't. I'm just trying to find out now because I don't want to slag off. I saw it ages and ages ago. 24% Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, it was awful. Ben Affleck, Michael Bay.
Well, there we go.
You need to know. Yeah.
Well, this one, Midway, is Bruckheimer, who's not much better.
Similarly kind of trashy explosion based.
Yeah, I feel
action.
like he did Armageddon. It said before the trailer Independence Day, which is a good movie. I like that one.
Yeah.
The Day After Tomorrow, or whatever it's called.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think there's a place in Hollywood at the moment for films like this? Do we need another historical reboot? I mean, like, based on true events.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, it won't be. There'll be. The only truthful element of it will be it's happening. It's Pearl Harbor. Like the events that happen within it.
Well,
will just be fabricated and ridiculous. Like even that trailer was just so over the top.
That's what worried me more than anything about it. Is that I think one of the most quotable lines I saw in the trailer or heard in the trailer was, if we don't do something now, if we don't stand up now, that whole kind of American like. Jingoist approach to things is the only way I can describe it. It's like, I don't want to hear like racial slurs at any point in this film. I just feel like they'd be out of place, like calling a certain nationality the Japanese in this case something derogatory would just feel out of place.
I feel like it's a very bad time to make this kind of movie with the political climate of a lot of the Western world, and then to do something Pearl Harbor, something like Gung Ho in Pearl Harbor.
I feel like there's just a painful contradiction with films like this. Yeah. Where it's like, it's probably designed to give men in Alabama in their back garden holding a beer can on top of their domed stomach a hard-on. But realistically speaking, how often is that man going to go to the cinema and watch this film?
Exactly, yeah.
Hardly ever.
Yeah.
That might be incredibly judgmental of me. So,
well,
but, I mean, it just seems like one of those, like, I don't know, trying to evoke like a patriotic response from audiences who go to see it. And is that necessary in this like political climate, like you say?
It's just I think a movie like this has no place. I feel like a disaster movie has better place than this.
Yeah, because I think, I know this is historical and this is and it depends how faithful they are to to what happened.
Yeah.
Is it just going to be told purely from an American standpoint, which
by
is the
trailer.
impression I got?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, actually, there was only kind of one frame in the entire trailer. I don't know if you noticed this, of the Japanese pilots.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is just. But yeah, so it was.
But weirdly, it was quite a strong cast.
Yeah, it was.
Which I'm like, maybe that's why there's no money for CGI, that they spent it all on getting actors in. But
there's also Ed Skrein is the kind of lead in this,
right?
Who you might know from he's Ajax in Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
The like evil British guy, basically.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he kind of maybe carried too many British tendencies into this role, because in the trailer he's very stoic, very like stiff upper lip, kind of like he would be better in something like, you know, the D-Day landings.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like or Dunkirk or something like that. He would have been really well cast in that based on his performance in this trailer.
Do you know what would be a way better movie? Would be the it's in that famous monologue in Jaws, you know, delivering the A-bomb.
Yes.
Make a movie on that. That would be far more interesting, and that deals with like US and Japanese relations, and obviously we know how it ends. They drop the bomb, but
instead all we get is a Wolverine Origins film where that's addressed, where he runs towards a well and holds like a piece of sheet iron over the top of a man and saves his life.
Oh god, that's a bad movie.
Do you know what I'd really like to see? Just touching on that point, you could do something on. And if any Hollywood producers are listening to this, you're welcome. With the rise of Chernobyl and the interest in that as a historical disaster and the success of the HBO show, you could equally do something on the events that happened in Japan 11 to 12 years ago. I think it was that long ago with the
Fukushima.
Fukushima. With the nuclear plant disaster there, which is still like much worse than people realise.
Yeah, and it's. Oh, I read something in the news actually. We're way off, probably out of our depth here.
Here we go. Wade in anyway.
Yeah, well, I will wade into the radioactive water that they're. I mean, they've got it all sealed off.
Yep.
But they're working out ways that they can like dilute it down, but it's still going to have to go into the ocean. And there's like, you know, it's a serious talking point.
It's a natural disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I think whoever's in charge of it, whichever scientific group is saying that no, it's fine, but then everyone else is like, I don't think you can put like any treated water in there at all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know enough around the situation, but I have heard like growing concerns on what's going to happen with that site. But you know, I think because it was a tsunami, wasn't it, that caused the disaster and the meltdown in the first place. Yeah. So there's so many points of interest around a potential narrative you could construct there. And again, you've got, you know, unfamiliar elements. If you're a Western viewer, you're going to be like, okay, you know, Far Eastern culture and what the disaster would look like on the ground, because it's very, very difficult to imagine when you're just sat at home watching it on the news.
Yeah, true. That could be a series.
Yeah, I mean, if you're being commercially cynical, and you're looking to profit off a natural disaster, then. But that isn't that Hollywood?
Got them.
Adam Sandler's listening to this like, oh, that sounds like a really good idea.
What was the next trailer we got? Margot Robbie's horror hide and seek.
Yeah,
that trailer again.
I think it would have been better if it was called like Peekaboo.
Yeah, like what is it called again?
Ready or Not.
Ready or Not. My thought of it, because I mean we saw the same trailer last week when we did Hustlers. Yeah, which everyone should go see. I thought this was a movie that if you do the whole Netflix and chill, it's kind of a perfect movie for that.
All right.
Well, you know, it's like I wouldn't go and see it, but you know, it's that kind of like, I don't know.
What? She has to snuggle up close to you, Andrew.
No, not like that. But that's like the kind of movie. Yeah, I would watch if I, you know, had a girlfriend. You know.
Oh. I'm getting all types of views into your agenda.
No, but it's just kind of that. Like, I don't know. It's kind of easy watching. but you want to share like a kind of atmosphere with someone. Like I wouldn't watch it by myself. So I wouldn't go see it in the cinema.
If you try and put like the Babadook or Insidious on after this podcast, I should be worried. Is that what you're telling me?
What was the movie you and Joe went to see in the cinema that was really scary? And you guys phoned me. I was telling someone about this the other day.
Wait, what? Did we?
I think it was you and Joe. It was definitely Joe.
I'm not big on scary films.
Yeah.
You could do a whole... If we did like a live podcast viewing of a film, you just hear me screaming for like 3/4 of it. I'm not good with scary films.
There was something... Because it was definitely Joe, and I feel like I got phoned quite late at night. Like 11 p.m, and it was because you guys were walking back through that like shortcut to your house.
You got a text off Joe, you up? Question mark.
I wish I remembered what that was. Anyway,
it'll come back to you, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't. It was basically the same like for like trailer, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was exactly the same.
I read a little bit into it, and it doesn't seem to be getting panned as much as I thought it would. But
it looks half decent. Like, I don't think it looks bad at all. I just wouldn't go to the cinema to see it. I don't.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Unless it comes out at Halloween, might be fun.
Yeah. Halloween's maybe the one exception I make to seeing a film like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't look like overly scary. I think it strikes me as one of those films that'd be really reliant on jump scares.
Yeah, I think it'd be if they hold the tension the whole way through. I think it'd be really good.
Yeah,
and Margot Robbie's like an awesome actor. So.
She's likable.
Yeah, exactly. And final trailer we got was Terminator: Dark Fate.
Yes,
which you don't like the look of, but I quite do.
Have I said I don't like the look of it?
Did you not say that in the cinema? No, you said you're not really a Terminator fan.
No, I wouldn't say I'm a Terminator fan. I remember watching Terminator 2 when I was quite young.
Yeah.
Fuck knows where my parents were. Because they were actually, when I was growing up, they were really strict about me watching like 15s and 18s when I was underage.
Yeah, my parents were too, weirdly. But I did sneak a few past them.
They wouldn't let me play Grand Theft Auto either when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
So when the PSP.
Oh, yeah.
So I went in to school when I was like 13, and I'd never played it before.
Yeah.
And they did there was like a version of Vice City for the PSP, so I did a little like game trade with one of my schoolmates, and played it from start to finish. And every time my dad would like walk into the room and come over and be like, "Oh, what are you playing?" I'd be like, "Nothing." Just a racing game, a PG-13 racing game. So what the fuck were we talking about?
Terminator.
Yeah. So Terminator 2 for me is like the pinnacle of those.
For sure.
Of those films, so good. And I think having James Cameron back on board, even in a production capacity, does do wonders for it. And
it's directed by Tim Miller, who directed Deadpool. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite strong cases. I thought it looked pretty good, like this trailer.
Strong female protagonist who's meant to be this enhanced human rather than a Terminator, which is like a new spin on things. You get Sarah Connor's character back in the mix.
Yeah. Original actress is back.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a fan I am of that.
I don't actually know if she's a good actress.
She was a bit. The line from the trailer was like, "Oh yeah, I changed the future and I saved 3 billion people. Enough of a resume for you." It's like. All right, calm down. And obviously you've got Arnie in there. Bit of a worn out franchise. Whenever you could have done one without him in it.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
He doesn't have to be in every. Maybe it's in his contract actually. Who knows? That he has to be in any Terminator project.
True.
And then you've got everything I said I liked about this, because it's coming back to me the first time, was that it looked like it was going to be based in Mexico. That you get like a new location.
Yep.
You'd get a new rivalry between this like enhanced super soldier and like the new Terminator. But I feel like a lot of that interest was undone by Sarah Connor's character saying, "I'll be back." Yeah. Which I know why you think I dislike this now, because when she said that in the trailer, I went, "Oh, fuck off." Yeah,
that was it. Yeah.
And actually, everyone in the audience kind of audibly laughed at that as well.
Yeah, true.
Which isn't what you want. It's pretty. They must do audience testing with these trailers. If people are laughing at the like "I'll be back" element of it, it's lost its. Surely it's lost. Like people are like, "Oh, this worn out thing all over again."
Yeah. And that's like that's like the cheesy line, like that's one of those lines that's become a parody.
Yeah.
But the line that I don't know if they use it in every Terminator film is the "Come with me if you want to live."
Yeah.
So like Kyle Reese says it in the first one, the Terminator, Arnie's Terminator says it in the second one, and that's a really cool switch.
Maybe it's just Arnie in general, very quotable. Like "Ice to meet you."
Yeah.
Get to the chopper. I don't know. I was excited, and now I'm slightly apprehensive because I think it's slid in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I would consider it based on the reviews. I think if the reviews are good, I might go to cinema see it because it'll probably be quite a spectacle to see on a big screen.
Oh, visually it'll be great, I'm sure, but plot-wise, I'm a bit concerned.
Well, yeah, especially after what we just got, which I think leads us in nicely to.
I was just going to say one more thing around Terminator.
Go on.
It's a good bit of knowledge. The end of Terminator, where he says, and the other catchphrase, "Hasta la vista, baby."
Oh, yeah.
In the Spanish dub, he doesn't say "Hasta la vista" because it would be out of place. It's like...
Yeah, true.
Spanish people would be like, what?
Yeah.
So he says "Sayonara, baby" instead in the Spanish dubbed version of Terminator.
That's a good bit of knowledge. How did you get that?
I think my Spanish teacher said that at school once. I was like 15. Just recalled it for some reason.
Nicely retained for a movie podcast.
Yeah. Well, no, interesting facts like that just stick in my head,
same.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, interestingly, you say that. Back to the Future, his underwear says Calvin Klein around it, and she thinks it's called Calvin. In the French dub, it's Pierre Cardin.
Oh,
so he's
really?
called Pierre, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
How did they do that though?
It still says Calvin Klein, like when you read it.
Oh,
like,
bet.
Yeah, so it's just dubbed over, but even yeah.
That's good knowledge as well.
I guess they're I watched a French dub of it. I'm just assuming that they were just assumed. I keep saying that that all the people in France watching it couldn't read English, I guess.
Insulting.
Yeah.
Just to clarify for any French listeners, we know you're very intelligent. We would never ever condescend to you.
Yeah.
Like that.
And this is 1985 when they were much more condescending than us.
Yeah. And I realised I got some French wrong in one of our previous podcasts.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that it was our first one, in fact, the Dark Phoenix one. Because we were talking about the cafe's name at the end.
Yeah.
I think I said like Le Café de Jeux Copain, copain, which copain is like friends, and Jeux doesn't mean anything because it's vieux, which is old.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, I was just dwelling on that. Well, I dwelled on that for 13 episodes of the podcast. Yeah.
Cool. There wasn't another trailer, was there?
No.
No, I think that was it. Actually, I tell you what was weird. The Jewel trailer we got.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't realise there was a Jewel movie coming out.
Yeah. So bizarre to have it. So we got like the trailers and then an advert for Jewel, which was weirdly acted. I don't think any of those actors have ever smoked in their life either.
No, because typically people who smoke won't look like that.
No, yeah, they all look...
They won't look aspirational and like healthy, will they? It's like, yeah, I used to smoke 50 a day.
Yeah.
You're not going to look...
And that guy was like one of the English guy on it. But I don't think he was English, actually, but he had that weird, like, generic, is he English, is he American accent, which does have a name, which I've heard on YouTube before, but I can't remember what it is.
Really?
It's some kind of, like, way of, like, neutrality, so it's easy for everyone to understand no matter where you're from. There is a name for it. And he was like, I went from spending £10 a day on cigarettes
to £10 a week.
Yeah, and I'm like, you probably don't have an understanding of English currency right now, because I mean, I don't smoke, but I know £10 is not going to get you much in these days.
Yeah, neither do I, but it won't, will it?
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't think of that at the time. So Jewel, if you are looking to reach a more relevant audience,
we know loads of smokers.
We have an advertising slot available. I completely agree. Really out of place and really strange advert.
So strange. But yeah, anyway, Rambo Last Blood.
Yeah, to the I don't know, to the main event, the feature.
Yeah, our feature. Would you like me to do the synopsis?
I would.
Or
Actually, do you want to? You go ahead with the synopsis.
I'll give it my best Sync Slate synopsis.
I've got a couple of reviews that I want to read out afterwards.
Okay, yeah, I'll do a quick synopsis. Rambo is old. He's taking pills for age. I don't know.
He's got a bad case of age.
And he's living on a farm in. I don't know. I'll get to it. A lot of it is is not really touched upon. Basically, he's just living out his older days.
Yeah.
And his niece wants to know who her dad is, so she goes to Mexico and gets kidnapped, and he has to go and save her.
Yeah, it really is that basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's taking the pills for PTSD.
Oh.
Just because, and then when she asks him about the only bit of, without going too deep into the film straight off the bat, the only bit of kind of dialogue or interaction you get between him and his adopted niece is that she's like, "Why are you digging all these caves? Fucking weird hobby."
Yes, especially if you have post-traumatic stress disorder from Vietnam. I think the last thing you would do is build caves and tunnels.
And want to live in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. But he said to basically keep himself distracted. Make sure he keeps a lid on things, I think is what he said.
Yeah, okay, right.
But yeah, I mean...
God.
We'll get on to my views on the film and Andrew's views on the film. In a second. I came across, I wanted to see what other people thought of this film, because I love First Blood. I think First Blood's great.
Me too.
And here is a review provided on Google by Trace Kaufman, and she goes along the lines of this: I really can't explain how much I like this movie. I just saw it not even 30 minutes ago. Not even, Andrew. Not even. And I'm already writing this review. Makes sense, because this feels somewhat hurried. It was just, incorrectly used, amazing. Although I wish it was longer, but I can live with it. Don't need the comma there, Tracy. You've said but. Warning, capital letters, ! Spoilers ahead. So I really do think that it could have been longer if the Hispanic men went into the house or barn and there were more traps. Great. Good input. But all of them were mostly in the tunnels. Let down. But then again, Rambo couldn't have been in two places at once. Sylvester played an amazing job as Rambo as always. It is clear that he did not lose his skills over the years. It is also clear that he will do anything for his family, but I mean, who wouldn't? I think what she's done there is conflate Sylvester Stallone and John Rambo as character and actor.
It sounds like it.
Quite a natural thing for a simpleton to do.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't like was the fact that this is a spoiler anyway. So that's her initial impression of it, and then we also have Dhruba Jyoti Saha, who said, "This is a great movie. This is a great movie. For me, this is the best movie so far for the year of 2019." Despite the fact Hustlers was very, very good last week, wasn't it, Andrew?
Yeah, very, very good.
Very good.
In fact, watch that. That's my review of Rambo.
The critics might have different ideas, but the movie was extremely convincing right from start to finish. I relate to this movie at a very personal level because people in general have been very brutal and unkind to me. So Rambo Last Blood comes out as a very satisfying balm to my soul. I actually really like that as a metaphor. Quite nice. I rate 5 out of 5 stars for Rambo Last Blood because it's very contemporary and the most convincing movie of the year.
Well, sorry to hear you've had some trauma in your life, but you're wrong.
And I just want to play on that last point there. So a contemporary and convincing movie. I wholeheartedly disagree to the extent where I would like 93 minutes of my fucking life back. This film was almost offensive in how bad it was. It was the first film in about 2 years where I actively considered walking out of the cinema. It was that bad. It was lazy. The acting was incredibly bad.
Yes.
It's almost like Sylvester Stallone just went down onto the street corner and asked a couple of people whether they thought they'd want to have a little run at acting. Yeah, go on then. Yeah, I'll have a go at it. I'm not going to say I'll be good, but this one's got me annoyed, Andrew. This one's really got me in a tizzy. So playing on that contemporary element that Mr. Saha mentions just there, this did try and kind of follow the script of First Blood to an extent, and to have such a good first film and to have something that's trying to close the franchise, I suppose you do have to bring things to a natural conclusion, and you do have to have a recurring theme that ties things off in like a nice little bunch. And it seemed like they really tried to rely on PTSD or the theme of his. He kept kind of having like visual stunts and kind of audible stunts as well. So things that would come back to him from his previous involvement in war.
Here's the thing, though: there wasn't enough of them to make it have any gravity. I think there was one at the start, maybe one at the end, probably one in the middle.
Yeah, I think there were 3 tops, and they were all quite brief.
And there was so many other points they could have done it in the movie. I don't know. Should we just like spoil this from the get-go? I mean,
spoilers ahead for
as you can tell, like this isn't a good movie, so
I don't think it matters that we're going to spoil it.
Yeah, exactly.
I would highly recommend you don't go and see this.
Just watch, like, if you're into gore. It is very gory, actually.
Yeah.
If you're into gore and booby traps, find like the last 10 minutes on YouTube when it comes out.
You're actually right.
It's really flimsy. It's barely a plot in it.
Yeah, and what stuck out to me was the first film carries the theme of, or the kind of study into PTSD so much better than this film does.
Yeah, exactly.
We're now in a time. When was First Blood released?
70s, late. No, if Rocky was mid 70s, probably like late 70s to early 80s, I'd say.
Yeah, so
79, 81?
1982, in fact. So, yeah, a bit later. But we're talking about the 1980s. We're talking about a time where mental health probably had no kind of funding.
Yeah.
People didn't understand what went on with war veterans, especially ones that had been in Vietnam, because they were coming back home at this point.
Yeah, and being spat on too.
Yeah, and probably suffering significantly.
Yep.
First Blood deals with that theme really, really well in spots. That he is this grizzled war veteran who doesn't understand how to, like, I don't know, he doesn't understand his place in society. And he doesn't know how to come back and just resume his normal life. And there are the blood and gore aspects of the first one thrown in, but it's because of a result of what's happened to him.
Yeah, what he's been through.
And you have his conversations with the Colonel, and I think it's the Colonel in that film.
Yeah.
Which is almost keeping him level. And that's just far more convincingly told. And
acted.
Yeah. And the real contradiction is now it's 2019, and we know all this stuff about PTSD and how badly people suffer from it and what you can do to improve it. And it was just brushed aside.
Yeah, 2 flashbacks, maybe 3.
And I just didn't understand that one bit.
And there's other points you could have done. So like the bit when he's getting beaten up by all those people. Why didn't they throw a flashback in there of like, being imprisoned in Vietnam? And it was just like, I don't know. There were so many things in this movie. It's like, oh, that could be an interesting point. Gone. Like the thing about him, whatever sickness he's got, is it PTSD? Is it he's actually dying? Like those pills he has to take. It's never really mentioned again. There's the stuff on, him keeping a lid on things. Yeah. Not really mentioned.
Doesn't go into it enough.
There's another theme that they try and bring up. like having a family or, losing all your friends. Just everything is just like a throwaway line or scene.
It was very easy to miss, but there was a part where he had pills in his glove box as he was driving to Mexico, and he took them out and he ran out while he was in Mexico. I think that was trying to signify that he was going to lose. He was going to unravel quite slowly, and descend into a kind of chaotic, well, what you expect from a Rambo film, basically.
Yeah.
Which, because I thought it was quite out of character where he threatened to kill the girl that was friends with his adopted niece.
She was a very bad actress.
She was a very bad actress.
Both those girls were, the main lead, like his niece.
Gabrielle, the character was called.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who she was.
Yeah, she wasn't good. I don't know if it's because the script was bad.
The script was awful.
Yeah, it really bad. The dialogue was terrible. I know it's not Sylvester Stallone's strong point. I think from his speech impediment, which I noticed he's got a lisp, which I don't think he had before.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I did. But yeah, it's just... Even like the Spanish is quite bad. Not the... I mean, I don't speak Spanish fluently, but like reading the translation, I'm like, if you said that in English, it's a very bad line. Like for us to read that subtitles, it was like, what we do, or something like that. Do you remember that bit? Yeah. Yeah.
And also it was, you had some kind of colloquial Mexican Spanish in there.
Yeah.
So that was, I don't know. It stood out to me because it was just quite, guttural and quite, abrasive.
Yeah.
But you also had, I don't understand why you would... Okay, I suppose because you had to have the film in Mexico for whatever reason.
There was no reason for it to be in Mexico, really.
No, but then what you've also done is written yourself into a corner because Sylvester Stallone, as you've just quite accurately said, isn't a good... He's not known for dialogue.
No.
But so the adoptive niece and her grandmother who he's living with, the grandmother's pretty much exclusively speaking to him in Spanish.
Yeah.
And you have really distracting subtitles for quite basic Spanish conversation.
Yeah.
And then he responds in English.
Yeah.
It was just unnecessary. It made it far more... It just felt clumsy. I don't get the point of that.
And like, what's the point? Is it to show that he understands Spanish? Like you could do that in one line, like the bit when he's first captured, and he pretends not to understand, and then he does. You could just have that one scene. You don't need to carry it throughout.
I don't even think it needs to be said, does it? I mean, he's a nomad essentially as a character. He travels from place to place. I think it can be assumed that he's going to have picked up some language skills along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're not going to speak in Spanish, why is there a Rambo film in Spanish? I'm so confused.
Why? It makes no sense.
Why did it have to be Mexico? And why did there need to be Spanish speakers?
And there was another thing actually that I've thought about is there was a whole thing about his niece saying like, you don't understand this world anymore, like relating to technology and relationships. That would have been way more interesting than just him going to Mexico. Like say Rambo dealing with someone, I don't know, like some kind of tech thing. Yeah. Instead of like, playing on him being old. Because I felt like they tried to do the old man Logan type thing. Yeah, well, the rap music was playing. And... like, basically, the adopted niece's friends came round for a party. Yeah, show him the caves. Yeah. Yeah, show him the caves. Okay, psycho. Yeah. And then you had, like, this weird subplot where the creepy guy who was trying to get with her... That was just a weird kind of add-on as well. Like young men are just complete trash these days, and they will try and force themselves on any young woman. Like, what the fuck was that about? Yeah, there's just so many things. Just I don't know. It almost felt like it was just dumped. It's just like a load of ideas dumped on something, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll just call that a Rambo movie. Yeah, I don't know. None of them get explored. Yeah, you get like a minute and a half of. Okay, maybe this might lead somewhere. Yeah. No, goes on something else. And also, unresolved plot is the journalist that saves him in Mexico, who's writing this article about these who are the main antagonists. They are like traffickers of young girls, and they dope them up. and
the
sell them
Martinez
off.
brothers, I think they were called.
Yeah, and they killed the girls if they leave, so the girls are terrified to leave.
Yeah.
Like, they could have played on that, because he does go in the building, tries to rescue them, like, no, we're not going. And I thought that was going to come up, but this journalist is meant to be writing this article on it. You don't see her. She just disappears after a while. It's like, it's never resolved.
Yeah, I felt like she was only in it to be able to, like one of the reviews said, just kind of tend to his wounds and like purely exposition.
Yeah, exactly.
She was just exposition worthy, to make sure he got back on his feet and could, like be active enough to fulfill the final battle as it was. So I think there are two aspects of that kind of sex trafficking. God, can't speak today. Sex trafficking theme. One being that obviously it is prevalent in modern day society, and it is an issue. And I think that could have been a really interesting area of exploration for the film. Yeah. And in the subject matter, especially within the realms of Mexico as a country. Yeah. And the blind eye the kind of authorities seem to be turning to it. And the fact that none of these women wanted to leave because they knew the consequences were worse than potential escape. And that the other element of that being it put it too close to Taken.
It was very Taken. The first half. Yeah. I think even first 2/3.
And I don't think anyone, if you have seen Taken, I don't think you can put that out of your mind for the first half of the film. It's almost identical.
Yeah, it is.
The only difference in motive is that the girl in Taken wants to go and see U2 performing across Europe, which is like...
Which 40-year-old wrote that?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's not One Direction, it's U2. Yeah. And in this, it's the adoptive niece wants to be reunited with her father, who is a complete piece of work anyway. Yeah. It almost felt like whoever wrote Taken wrote this and just was like, yeah, well, it's worked before. Yeah. Let's do it again.
Yeah. Try this out.
Yeah. Which led to just the clunkiest script. And then...
Because there was a part of me that thought... Because he rescues her... It feels like it's quite
through?
early on. Yeah. Either in the first act into the middle, probably. I thought they were going to play off her having PTSD, him having PTSD,
and bonding
bonding over it, working together, and then the guys come after him for whatever reason. I thought that's where it was going, but she ends up dying. Yeah. So he goes back, kills one of the brothers. Yeah. And gets him to come back to his ranch.
Her death also took me completely off guard. I mean, yeah. So when he finds her and rescues her, she's got like 15 to 20 puncture marks on her arm, and I think
it is brutal, actually.
Yeah, so she's basically on the edge of ODing. Yeah. And then he gets her in this car, and they're driving back to Arizona in the States, which also isn't the fact that they just crossed the border seamlessly. Yeah. Is really not. They're just like, this is irrelevant.
Well, is it Arizona? Because does Arizona border Mexico that far down?
I'm not sure. I don't believe so, but
close enough.
From what I've read on of the film, it says it's Arizona. Right. Because I thought it looked like New Mexico.
Yeah, that's what I thought more.
It does border Mexico.
Oh, okay. My bad geography.
But yeah, it was just even the kind of dying conversation she had with it. She didn't say much. Yeah. Granted, but him saying all these things about her childhood in quite a nice fashion didn't come across as convincing. And then he shed a tear, and it felt like she was just a necessary plot device to enable him to go on this blood fueled rage. And he's lost all of the. I mean, obviously you can't really relate to a war veteran unless you yourself were one. Yep. But you could maybe empathise with the downsides of his character and the flaws of his character until this point. This time around, it just seemed like he wanted to kill. Like he had this like lust for it almost.
He had all these tunnels, all these weapons.
Yeah. Yeah. The violence as well was.
It was really violent. That bit with the collarbone.
Was that? I thought it was his rib.
Oh, was it his rib?
Yeah,
I thought collarbone.
And I don't know. I think this was highly unrealistic.
I mean, yeah, of course.
When he's originally trying to track down his adopted niece and find out where the Mexican cartel have taken her. He grabs this guy out of a nightclub. He gets him as he's going into his truck. He kind of grabs him, stabs him in the thigh at first.
Yep.
Then takes the knife out and stabs him in the abdomen. But puts his hand in the wound, and then starts yanking one of his ribs sideways and breaking it bit by bit. Which I don't think that is possible.
I don't think so at all. No. I mean, the guy would.
And was just gratuitous violence almost. Yeah. Like I get you're worried and you're angry and time is of the essence here, but. Mate, like really?
It was so, and then, and it is very. I think it said in one of those reviews you read earlier. The end is very Home Alone. There's like a montage of him setting booby traps, and I thought we were in the cinema. I was like, this is like an R-rated Home Alone thing happening here. I mean, it's like some of the traps are cool, in like the Rambo way, but also. He's got farm equipment. He's got like all the equipment. It's not like in First Blood when he's in the jungle, not in the jungle, he's in the forest.
Yeah.
And just like making it, and he's like, you see him that he's obviously very highly skilled, and can adapt from everything. But this is just like he's got some shotguns. He's built some trenches underneath. Yeah.
Well, that's what they were trying to evoke, wasn't it? The whole do-it-yourself booby traps from First Blood that he employs as well. But rather than against Mexican cartel, it's against American army officers, isn't it?
Yeah, it starts off just like local police, and then I think do they get the TA?
Yeah,
the Territorial Army in.
Yeah,
yeah,
or the equivalent of out there.
Yeah, whatever they call it.
But and that's also another point to raise. Again, why Mexico? Why what? It's almost like. You want to play on political tensions, for whatever reason, despite the fact that Sylvester Stallone's not really about that.
No, not at all.
So you basically just had these Mexican red shirts come into his domain at the end of the film, like he's lured them in.
Very good Star Trek reference there.
Thank you. And then you just get this. You get 20 to 25 minutes of high octane violence against Mexicans, albeit it's kind of justifiable because they're gang members or because they're the cartel. Yeah. But it just had nothing. There's nothing about this film.
No,
nothing to it.
Yeah, I think like you said, coming out of it, there's barely a plot line to it. It's like if a plot thread, it's like a plot fray of thread or something. It's flimsy.
I'm disappointed because Sylvester Stallone can catch you off guard. I mean, we're talking about someone who's won an Oscar for writing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and they should not be able to. Someone who's won an Oscar for writing. Granted, your quality's never ever going to be consistent.
No.
Every author, screenwriter, artist is going to have inconsistencies, and they're going to struggle at certain points of their career.
Especially when you've been doing it so long. Like, what's he now? 35 years into.
Oh, at
75's Rocky. Yeah.
It goes back to that point we made about, and I always say it because it is literally one of my favourite quotes of anyone, is Tom Gunn saying, I'm not going to write poetry anymore. I'm out of juice. Yeah. I'm out of juice. I'm not going to do anymore because I know it won't live up to the expectation or my expectations at least. Where does Sylvester Stallone go from here?
And what's weird is I think Sylvester Stallone works best. Like in Rocky, it's a very slow burn, drama piece. And then at the end, you do get, you get the payoff of it. But you need to go through all the slow, kind of like emotion, the build up to get to it. And I thought this might happen in that because he's old. And I thought they were going to, that was going to be brought into it. And then at the very end, there's some kind of, didn't even need to be him against like loads of people. It could have just been like a couple. But with his old age and like, all the trauma and I don't know, I feel like that would have been way better. And I feel like he could also write that, which is why it's annoying.
Yeah. Beyond that, he was also nominated for an Oscar for acting about 4 or 5 years ago for Creed. So he's taken some of the work he's done before and renovated it in a way that's interesting again. Yeah. But with this, it's almost like he's looked at what he did with Creed and thought, this is possible, and maybe we should tie up the Rambo franchise. Yeah. And it was just really badly done. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's his worst film, honestly, and he's got some bad ones.
Yeah, worse than Cobra. Worse than Stuff on My Mum Will Shoot.
I've not seen anything worse than this in a long, long time.
Yeah. Luckily for me, which I said to you afterwards, it felt really quick. I felt like I was only in there like 45 minutes.
Yeah, this goes back to your whole like time warp element, actually, because it really dragged on for me. The first 40 minutes, nothing happens. Nothing. You have really basic dialogue between him and the immediate characters.
Him spinning a horse around and round.
Yep, so he's big into horses.
Yeah.
And then the niece going to Mexico and meeting the adoptive father, who then shuns her.
Yeah.
And that's the first 40 minutes of the film. Nothing happens.
No.
It's about as desolate as the movie set. You just feel like you're out in this field in Arizona, and I almost felt like I didn't have any water as well. Like I couldn't breathe. Like I was actively sweating, toiling away in this field. Oh God, words can't do justice how much I hate this film.
What would you give it out of 6?
0.3.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I absolutely despised it. Honestly, active hatred right now.
Damn. Shit. Do I give it... I try and work them out as percentages. I said 9% is what I'd give it. What's 10% of 6? 0.6. There we go, yeah.
0.6. God.
Yeah.
Low average. 0.45
yeah, really
average.
low. I was thinking, like, could I give it a 1? If I'm feeling generous.
Generous, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it a 1 just because I like the Rambos, but I don't know.
We still haven't even spoken about some of the deaths in the tunnels, the kind of different ways, the different methods he goes about using to kill the intruders.
Did you have a favourite?
I think it's robbed from another film. I've seen it somewhere before, but the one where he shoved the pipe through the hole,
yes,
which went through the guy's neck.
Yep.
And then the other guy next to him instantly shot back through the hole, but he dropped to the ground and then sliced his leg off from underneath the...
Yeah, that was quite good.
That was, yeah. But I've seen that in something else, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I can't think what it is.
Home Alone.
Yeah, right. I quite liked... what did he have in the... Was it oil, I guess? Petrol he had?
Gasoline.
Yeah. No, that was kind of classic.
We're going to talk about the end kill.
The end kill's very bad, but what the hell? No, I don't know. I feel like there was one line that someone said that was ridiculous in that bit going into the tunnel, but it escapes me. There was a really bad bit of dialogue. But yeah, do you want to describe the end kill? Because it's...
Well, you get his preparations leading up to knowing that they're going to come for him, right?
Yeah.
Because he also weird. So he beheads one of the heads of the cartel for his brother to find him.
Yeah.
And does he leave like a knife stuck into his heart with a picture of his niece on it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure. Like that's great. Okay, that's how you're going to know who it is.
Yeah.
But if you're going to incriminate yourself anyway, why not just do your driving license, which they referred to earlier in the film?
Yeah. Yeah, completely.
And then he just threw the head in the middle of the road as he's driving back to the US. Strange, but he had his preparations where he gets out the classic Rambo bow,
Rambo bow,
the Rambo.
I bet he calls it that too.
And he had playing cards on the barn door that he was shooting at, and I think he had a jack, a queen, a king, and an ace.
Yeah. Do you think that was meant to be some kind of symbolism in that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I did
weird.
consider it, but I don't think so because this film is devoid of all subtlety and premise.
Yeah.
So probably not. I think the only thing that you can take from that was that he hit each face card in the heart.
Yeah.
And then he hit the ace of hearts in the heart.
Yeah.
Because the plot point here was that when his niece was killed or died of the drug overdose, it felt like his heart had been ripped out of his body. And he kept saying that.
Yeah.
So he said, I'm going to rip your heart out of your body so you know what it feels like.
Yeah. And it's almost like he had to keep saying it to reinforce it because they didn't have enough screen time or chemistry for you to really feel that his heart had been ripped out.
Yeah. He was emotionless almost.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just like, okay, back to the killing.
Yeah. And it would be good to see Rambo have some emotion.
I think he shed a tear. Did he cry when she initially passed away?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, but even if he did, it's kind of lost in the just let's get this out of the way so we can start killing people.
Also, what was the point of the scar on the face? Aside from visuals, like it didn't come back into play.
Well, there's another thing you could have done really nicely that you brought up, is that you could have had their parallel journeys through PTSD, and that the fact that they both had the cross put on their face.
Yeah, and
they're both kind of marked with this emotional trauma. Yeah,
that's where I thought we were going, and she had it on her right cheek, he had it on the left cheek, so I thought that was going to be some kind of symbolism there, like right and left and how they deal with it.
Yeah, she was almost the like yin to his yang as well.
Yeah,
like she was very young, innocent, like saw the best in people.
Yeah,
he was like old, haggard.
Yeah,
just didn't believe in anyone and anything anymore.
Just liked horses.
Yeah,
and tunnels.
Yeah, horses and tunnels, and her. So yeah, I think that's a great point. I didn't even consider that.
Yeah,
but there was definitely plot points or devices they could have used there.
Yeah,
that didn't go anywhere again, disappointingly.
Yeah.
Do you know, actually, another metaphor, felt like we were just trapped in those tunnels for the entire film.
And then going back to the last kill, and on the heart theme, he pins him to the barn door he was practicing on with his arrows. Did
you think that was realistic? So the kind of first 2 arrows hit him through the shoulders, and we're meant to believe they pinned him to the wooden barn door.
I feel like that guy...
But he kind of held his arms down by his side, like he couldn't move his arms.
I thought, did he get him in the arm? Was it 2 in the shoulder? Was it not
2 in the thighs?
Oh, it was in the thighs.
I think, yeah. But he was holding his arms like he couldn't move them down by his side.
Yeah,
but I think if you were shot with an arrow in the shoulder, you could probably reach up and try and pull it out.
Yeah, you'd probably have motion in your elbow, at least up to your elbow.
Yeah. But he just kind of sat there he was a sitting duck and just waited for Rambo to... Rambo did this long, kind of menacing walk up to him that seemed to take about 5 minutes of...
Yeah, because he's also been shot at this point a few times. Twice, yeah.
Once through the right side of his stomach and once through his left shoulder, I think.
And he literally pulls his heart out.
He does. He kind of guts him almost, doesn't he? Well, I mean, like you say, he pulls his heart out, but the motion he goes about killing him is he kind of takes the knife down from the bottom of his neck to, I guess, the top of his abdominals, and then cuts left of there, and then reaches in, and
everyone in the cinema laughed, didn't they?
Yeah,
which was kind of weird. Like we didn't laugh, but
everyone's like, this is so ridiculous that they couldn't help but.
Yeah,
I like the fact that everyone laughed because I was happy that. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to the demographic of that audience because I didn't look around enough, or I can't speak to. Although you were commenting on it when we first got in the cinema, because you say it's quite interesting to see who comes along to certain films.
It was very much. There's a few like lonesome men, and then there was a few like older guys, kind of butch looking, that had brought their girlfriends, or wives, or whatever.
And then he reaches in, pulls out the guy's heart. Which I don't think would you be able to do that just of sheer force? I feel like
I doubt it.
It's plugged into like the aorta and the other main arteries leading away from the heart. So I feel like you wouldn't just be able to yank it out.
No, I don't think so.
But he does, and then you get a really over the top sound effect, don't you?
Yeah, when he throws it.
Boom boom. At least the realistic part was when the heart was ripped out, the guy's head immediately dropped.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't just there looking at his own heart for like,
oh my God.
Oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah.
Reminded me of that bit in, what's that horror film that Danny Dye is in? Begins with an S.
I don't know.
It's ridiculous. Oh, still better than this, though. It is Severance.
I've not seen it.
And a guy's head gets cut off in it. And basically before it happens, he's saying, "Oh, what do you think when your head gets cut off, you can still see what happens for like 15 seconds?" And everyone's like, "No, don't be stupid." Yeah. He gets his head cut off, and his head rolls away, and he sees his body, and when his head's off, he kind of like raises his eyebrows, like.
Wasn't that from an episode of what was that show called? Tales from the
Not like Tales of the Unexpected.
Tales of the Unexpected. Do you remember that? It's like it was a car crash, and there's a guy can see his friend, and it turns out that he's ahead on the road or something in a car crash.
How would you know? Like, how would anyone know? We'll never know. We'll never find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Ridiculous.
Not unless
blink 5 times if you can see what's going on.
Yeah,
So
ridiculous.
Stupid.
Yeah.
That's about all I've got to say on it, Andrew, if I'm honest.
I'm over it. We could rank the Rambos.
Yeah?
I feel like they pretty much go in order. First Blood is great.
First Blood is very good.
Yeah.
And like I say, it plays on those PTSD elements so well.
Yeah.
For something that wasn't a main staple of... Main staple? Can you say that? Mainstay,
sure.
I mean.
Yeah.
Or staple of American society at that time. Or it was kind of swept aside slightly,
yeah.
I would imagine.
And I'll tell you what's good about First Blood is all the like major action stuff kind of happens in the beginning and middle, and then it peters out towards the end, like he gives up, which is very good, and especially for that time. I think that's like such a better way of doing it instead of like this one, where it's just like crazy action at the end and gore. Whereas, yeah, there was an arc actually in First Blood of him, dealing with all this.
Yeah, I think the thing to mention with this, did you think he died at the end?
Oh, yeah. I kind of hope so he doesn't make another movie.
I agree.
Yeah.
I also hope so.
I assume he did. Like, it would be... I don't know. I guess it was purposely done to leave it open. But in my mind, he did. Because he gives that speech about something to do with like the only life he's ever known is fighting a war or something along those lines.
Yeah, I didn't find that convincing either.
No, not at all.
I didn't think that did the whole character justice, given the arc that he's had across the 4 films.
And then they showed a montage of Rambo's in the credits.
I was going to say, because they did this at one of the end of the Rocky films.
Oh, is that where it comes from?
I think it's at the end of Rocky 5. They basically show pictures of each Rocky film building up to the end of Rocky 5. Just a trope that Sylvester Stallone likes employing. I mean, I think I actually like First Blood Part 2.
Do you? Interesting.
And apparently, I didn't realise this, but James Cameron was one of the writers on that.
Wow.
And what I like about it is that it's very much his relationship with, I can't remember the character's name, but where she dies wearing the red dress. Yeah. And he kind of, it's the most human element of his character you see, and he kind of takes he rips the dress and
the
and
headband.
You get the iconic red headband around the like huge curly hair.
Bouffant.
Yeah. Like that, just like everyone can kind of relate to that, right? Like wanting that revenge for I don't know, like and then the whole animalistic theme seems justified.
Definitely.
But it just didn't in this in this installment of the franchise.
It's like he kind of tried to use different parts of each Rambo, minus the Taliban, but just got all the bad bits of them. Like, he takes the revenge bit, but there's like, it's not really convincing. He takes the booby trap bit, but again, it's like, what's the point of it?
I suppose this also marked his return to America, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Which
true, actually.
I didn't consider.
Again, that could have been a really interesting movie, returning to America with all this PTSD.
Well, yeah, and we don't get any of that.
No.
There's so many good things I could have done with this, and we were talking about how it works in terms of timeline, weren't we? So he comes back from the one that's just eponymous, Rambo. Yeah, where he's been. Was that in Thailand?
Myanmar, Thailand.
Myanmar. It might be Myanmar.
I mean, maybe it's on the border. I think.
And then he's meant to have been back in Arizona, I'm assuming, for like 15 years at this point, because he said he watched Gabrielle grow up from being a little kid.
Yeah. When was the last one? It was 10 years ago, I reckon.
As long as 10 years? I think I saw that in the cinema when it came out as well. I really struggle to understand how anyone can see anything good in this film. Yeah. It's lazy. It's the worst thing about Hollywood sequels.
Yep.
It just ticks all of the wrong boxes.
Yeah. I agree. I think it goes, for me, First Blood Part 2, Rambo and the Taliban, Rambo Last Blood.
Rambo and the Taliban.
Is there a name for Rambo 3?
It's just Rambo 3.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you were right about Rambo, by the way. It was war-torn Burma.
Okay, yeah.
So that is Myanmar.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like that's what plays into the hands of some of the Rambo films, is that you've got, like, you know, political climates along with his existence as a war veteran. Like, him in war-torn Burma. Great. Okay, lots going on there. Definitely. Not a great film, but, you know, like, there's some idea there.
Yeah.
Him on a farm in Arizona with not a lot going on, and then just a jaunt over the border into Mexico to kill a load of cartel members.
Yeah. Generic, greasy, you know, they've all got that, like, sort of Bad Boys 2 villain, like, long, greasy hair, and their nice, like, shirts and stuff. It's linen slacks or whatever.
And with that, the two main villains, the Martinez brothers, you literally could have had, when they first encounter him, one of them says, kill him now, like, I don't want him coming back to get us, and the other one goes, no, like, I want him to think about what we're doing to his niece on, like, every day for the rest of his life. If you killed him there, we could have just saved like 45 minutes of me wasting my life watching this terrible movie.
Bam, the end.
Yeah, Rambo dead, bang. Yeah. No profundity. That's how the real world works sometimes.
Yeah. What a shame. I mean, I didn't have high hopes going in. I'd not really seen any trailers. I think we watched one a few episodes ago on this, didn't we?
Yeah. I think, you know, when we were talking about it in the group chat, it was very much, Joe was like, oh, I'm really sad to be missing out on that one.
Yeah.
Because he thought it could be like kind of the whole Hobbs and Shaw element. Like, there would be like some interest or like some kind of, oh, this isn't like just horrendous, but there was literally no saving grace. There was nothing. No comedy, very, very drab, no plot device, no points of interest, no character development, no depth of character, no interesting cinematography or direction, despite the fact it's based in Arizona.
Yeah, true, actually, yeah. Yeah, like you
and
say,
Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. It was so bland. Like,
it was like a piece of plain white toast. Is what this film was.
The cheap happy shopper plain white toast.
Too generous. It's just like a slab of cold tofu.
Oh, wow.
With a sombrero on it. Yeah, I mean, apologies for regular listeners if this has just been a kind of 2-hour rant on my part, but God, it's really irked me.
Yeah, me too. I'm sad.
Yeah, I'm a bit sad as well, Andrew. Yeah. Do you want to settle down to a horror movie together?
Speaking of that, I went to the on the climate protest yesterday.
Oh, really? I know a couple of people who went, yeah.
My favourite sign just said, "I'm really annoyed."
You say it best when you say nothing at all sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which, you know, I could give that a review for Rambo. I'm really annoyed.
I'm quite angry. Yeah. What a disappointment, eh?
Yep, exactly. Well, I think that's a good place to finish.
Yeah. What have we got in the works? What have we got coming up?
Is it the Joker next week?
Joker is October 4th, so a week after next.
Oh, I thought it was next week.
Which we are super excited for.
Yes.
And hopefully we will have lots of positive things to say about that.
I can look. What's out? Ad Astra. It depends if we want to go to the cinema, I guess, next week. I mean, Joe's back too. Yeah,
I feel like Joe might want to catch up. Maybe he's seen something on the plane back, potentially, that he wants to discuss. Be nice to have him back, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Have all 6 of us back around the table.
Exactly.
Are we not a little bit narcissistic and thinking we count for 2 people each?
Just like The Rock at the altar.
Are you going to be your own best man, Andrew? I listened back to that podcast the other day just to see, like, not quality checking so much, but just to see what it was about, like how we came across. And I don't want to be mean to The Rock. I quite like The Rock.
Yeah, I like him too. I hope we didn't come across mean, did we?
I don't know, but maybe. Oh. Maybe I did, because I called him a knobhead. It's a little bit pretentious.
We're sorry, The Rock.
Yeah, apologies, Dwayne. First name basis, me and Dwayne. So either I guess Ad Astra, or we could reboot our What Should Have Won episode.
Yes.
Looking at a specific Oscar year.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah.
Because we watched Quiz Show out of that last time, didn't we?
Yeah, which was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure out. Maybe Joe will have some ideas too.
Yeah. If there are any films you've seen recently, reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram DMs, as Andrew suggested.
IGDM.
Or Gmail. We do check all of them semi-regularly.
Yes. Yeah.
Be forgiving. We all have full-time jobs on, as well as running this podcast. It's a love. It comes from a place of love.
Yeah, exactly. And we really appreciate anyone that takes the time to listen.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really nice to hear.
Let us know where you listen, whether it's on your way to work, whether doing a bit of cooking.
Yep.
Just
in bed.
Ooh. God, never considered that. But yeah, I do listen to podcasts in bed sometimes. Hopefully we're not sending you off to sleep. That's
Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Yeah. Until then.
Bye. I finished your sentence. It's quite weird.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. I'm stopping this thing.
We're out.
Peace.